Hello to everyone. So I am walking 2 hours a day to get my exercise in, and I am walking at the mall. It's really not that crowded for the weekend. We're getting a lot of nice new stores here. Okay, I have a couple things to chat about. Okay, now they're saying, okay, the fruit juice is tainted with arsenic. So it's like the beef. How do these toxins get into, or poisons get into the fruit juice? Well, it's on the peels of the fruit, the pesticide. That's the same way it's getting into the beef. Okay, so we can like use logic. Okay, they're saying that the body does excrete most of the arsenic, but some can remain for months. Okay, if the cattle are tainted with arsenic and we're eating the arsenic and that's not good for us, most likely these claims that the arsenic is excreted is probably not valid. But I'm going to be giving some thought to this arsenic in fruit juice, because when you're prepping, you really need to prep some juice, you know. Canned fruit is good and juice, so I'm thinking about this arsenic thing. One thing could be fruits like pineapple and oranges, where the pesticide is not as easily absorbed. So arsenic in fruit juice is a concern now. Arsenic in beef, too many eggs, mercury in fish. They say fish can safely, well, who knows, safely be consumed in 2 times a week. And so it goes on and on and on, right? So, okay, now the next thing is the power grid collapse. Okay, they're saying prepare for a collapse. And if you notice in the news, they're saying we're expected to have the coldest winter. You know, like Game of Thrones, winter is coming. Okay, so if you live in cold regions, be prepared for the coldest winter ever. So if the power grid was to go off and you live in these cold regions, you want to make sure you have gas, cash, food, and water. And I was telling my son, we have to get a van so that if we did ever have to evacuate, you know, if it got dangerous, we would have 2 vehicles and a van. You know, we would take our vehicles and we would take our van. And we would load our van up with gasoline and other things. Oh, and by the way, somebody mentioned you shouldn't freeze Velveeta cheese, and I looked it up, and no, you really shouldn't freeze that stuff, but it stays good for like 6 months in the refrigerator, so that's good, unless there is no refrigeration. Well, if you lived in a cold area, just put your cheese outside. Oh, we have terrible you want some terrible stories? Okay. In the day, a long time ago, before people had babies in the hospital, sometimes the babies would die, and they would have to put the baby in a little box on the windowsill because you couldn't dig a grave because the ground was frozen. So in the day, you know, they did survive, but it was anything but pleasant. So, okay, so be prepared for the coldest winter ever. Try to prepare to evacuate if needs be. And if you do evacuate, you want to evacuate sooner than later if you can. And then the other thing is if there's a lot of heavy snow, possibly there could be floods. And I can't really imagine anything worse than icy cold floods. Okay, they had floods in Houston, Texas. That gives you some idea of how bad floods were. When my dad was in college and he was young, he earned extra money by doing some kind of work in a basement that had flooded, you know, so he could, it was maybe part of a job, but floods were not as uncommon. So be prepared for floods. Be prepared for your pipes to freeze, causing problems. Be prepared for your cars to freeze. You know, just put it into the back of your mind, okay, we could be in for a big freeze, we could be in for heavy snow, we could be in for floods, I could be trapped for a while. The demands for power could cause a power grid shortage. Here we have the power outages when it's extremely hot and you know the power goes out. It really does. So that is my chat for today, and for the rest of the month I'm going to be extremely cheap. I'm not going to be extremely cheap, I'm just going to be cheap like I always am. And so, okay guys, God bless you all.